Hello and welcome to the channel. In today's episode, I am doing some cleanup. Last night, the weather changed and it is cooler. It is in the 80s. It is no longer triple digits for the next couple of days. And in all honesty, it feels pretty good. So while it feels cool enough for me to actually work out here without feeling like I'm dying, I want to clean up what's going on around the cattle panel. I have not been able to effectively work in my garden the way I would like to, and I really have to do some cleanup and get ready for the fall garden. So if you'd like to see me do a little cleanup, stay tuned. So today I am over here. This is the bitter melon plant, and I have all the bitter melon I can stand to have in my freezer. And so what I'm doing now is I'm collecting bitter melon for seed to give away because I can't have any more bitter melon. I am completely out of room in my freezer for the harvesting of bitter melon. So I'm going to be cutting this back about halfway. And the bitter melon that I'm actually cutting off of the plant right now, I'm going to be giving this to a family member. I have a family member that likes bitter melon. So I'll be giving what I harvest that can be given away. I'll be giving this to a family member. So I'm hoping that it'll stay viable enough until I can get it over there this weekend. So I'm just going to cut this back by half. And what I mean by half is it's all the way up there on the top of the canopy panel. So I need to pull it down, and I just want it to be right here in the eye line. So everything above that has got to go. So let's get started. I don't know if you can see this, but all along the top here, it's covering the entranceway. It's turned into quite a jungle, and I just can't have this anymore. First and foremost, I'm done eating on it. I'm done saving it. This is a bird's nest. This is a area where critters can be hiding. And so, I just dropped it on the ground. And I cannot have all this. If you've seen places where snakes climb walls and get into trees, this reminds me of that. And this just has to go because it's making me quite nervous, as well as at the top up here, I've had bitter melon that I was unable to see because it was up under all of the growth, and those gourds have dried on the plant. Let me show you. And there are seeds in there, and I don't want these to be dropping all over the garden and end up with bitter melon everywhere in the spring. I'm already going to have bitter melon popping up in that pot because I did drop a couple of the melon in there that broke open, and it didn't serve me any purpose to try and collect them because it was just broken open. So I just let them fall into the pot. So I'm going to have some growing in the spring. So what I'll do is I will probably either give those seedling babies away, or I will just put them in the compost because I have so much bitter melon that I'm not going to want any for next year. I was thinking about growing it again next year, but no, I'm not I'm not I'm not growing this again next year, and I will have enough still in the freezer that I won't need to grow it again in the spring. So I'm just continuing to pull this down, and I'm going to compost all of this. I've already harvested seeds. I have sprayed myself with homemade bug spray, and the mosquitoes, that's another thing. The mosquitoes like to live in here. Um, the mosquitoes are still trying to attack me, even with me smelling like vanilla. I had a bee land on me. I've never in my entire life had a bee land on me. Didn't sting me. It just, I guess, liked the way I smell. So I blew it off just like that because it landed on my arm. And so let me finish pulling this down. I'm going to pull the rest of it down. It even goes on the opposite side of the cattle panel over there where I have these sweet potato vines. And I'll also be cutting back some of the sweet potato vines because they are out of control as well. So I know you all can't see me. I was trying to get out of the shot. I wanted you all to see that. But I am pulling down half of this, and I'm only going to keep this portion of the plant. So let me finish, and I'll be right back. I have cut down all that I want to cut down of the bitter melon vines as well as the sweet potato vines off of the interior of the not greenhouse. I want to call it a greenhouse because I use it as a greenhouse, but the cattle panel. Let me show you. I don't know if you really saw a good glimpse of it earlier, but this is where the sweet potato pots are. And the vines were growing all along the ground in the walkway through the cattle panel and over to the pots on the other side. The bitter melon on this side was growing through the cattle panel all the way up and over. Sorry about that. All the way up and over. I still have just a little bit to clean up right here. I want to get that down as well. My concern is, as I mentioned, mosquitoes. I've seen spiders. I don't want to see snakes in here. So I'm trying to get this cleaned up so that I can walk. It was a bit scary. Don't know if you can tell, but inside of my liquid fertilizer buckets, I did put some of that bitter melon in there. I've also been putting sweet potato vines in there, but for right now, I'm just going to be putting in a few of the bitter melon leaves. But over here, I'm just trying to clean up, see what I have available as far as pots. I have these two pots right here. This one I'm going to be putting some carrots. The one that's still covered by vines, I found a squash. Let me take you. I hope you all can see that. I found one squash. I think that's a buttercup. It's definitely not butternut. It's another butternut variety growing from over here. I forgot that I had planted it. It was all covered up by the sweet potato vines. And so I found it in the parsnip pot. I'm going to be putting parsnips in this container as well. And so I'm just cleaning up the cattle panel over here. All of that is sweet potato vines that have grown through the cattle panel. I still have some death from the sweet potato vines. I'll be taking that down. I don't want that there, but I'm just cleaning everything up. Right there, those are my okras. That's the first time I've gotten okra that tall. I've been harvesting off of that pretty much every day. So I'm excited about the okra harvest this year. I've been eating it. I've been sauteing it. That's the only way I can eat it straight out the garden. Besides dehydrating it, I do have some in the freezer, but I will be growing okra in the spring of next year. So I will definitely, since now I know that if I saute it with onions, I like it. I can eat it that way. As long as it's not slimy, I can eat it. So I will be growing that. But this is me cleaning up the cattle panel. I can hear thunder off in the distance. So I'm going to finish off what I'm doing, finish pulling the rest of this down and doing a little bit of cleanup. I may just leave these leaves down here to break down on the ground, but I'm cleaning up pots so that I know what's available so I can get my fall garden ready to pot up. Like I said, the temperatures have dropped down as of last night. It is in the 80s. It feels really good out here compared to it being 100 plus degrees. 80s feels amazing. So I've got to do a little bit of additional watering. I do have some pots that could use a little bit of additional watering. But that's it for me tonight, everybody. I just wanted to show you all that when you have 100-degree temperatures and you really can't get outside, this is a massive mess. When you have plants that vine that will take over, this is what you'll find in your garden. And since I have a garden that could harbor snakes, spiders, and who knows what, I wanted to make sure that I got it cleaned up. Let me show you the pot that I have the bitter millet in. I'm getting it ready because I am going to be planting some turnips in here. I want turnip greens, and this is my annual turnip green pot. So as this dies back and doesn't give me any more bitter millet, I will be putting my turnip greens in there and getting that ready for turnip greens. But this is it for me and the cleanup tonight, everybody. Bitter millet that were on the top of the cattle panel. It was an awful mess up there. You can see it's stained. So I wanted to get that down. But this is it for me tonight, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed this quick cleanup video. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like button, leave me a comment, share the video, and I hope to see you either in my kitchen or my ever-growing food forest real soon. Bye for now.